We're going to do division problem after division problem. My philosophy is we do problems. You write these problems down, then after the show, you do them on your own. You do them on your own, and that's proof that you understand. It's not proof that you understand unless you can do these problems on your own. One of the common mistakes that students make is they think that because they follow what I'm doing, they have complete understanding, and that's not so. That's the purpose of homework. Has your teacher ever gone through an assignment in class and you think you understand, and then when you get home you get stuck, you can't do it on your own? Well, that means you didn't fully understand in class. I'm not saying you couldn't follow what the teacher was saying. I'm just saying you didn't fully understand. These problems must be done entirely on your own. And when you do that, that's when you can say you understand. Math is mastered by doing problems, not just watching someone else do it. Let's look at another problem. All right, so again, we're dividing. 3.14. Okay, let's write that divisor, 3.14. Sorry about that. 3.14. I'll do a better job of spacing this time. 3.14, and let's divide that by 0.62. 0.62. Hopefully you see the difference between this problem is the divisor's really just a whole number. The divisor here, there's one decimal place, 2.9. The divisor here, it's two decimal places. That's the only difference. All right, so as we said before, what I want you to do is make this a whole number. Make that a whole number. What would be the common mistake? I want you to call in right now. I'm gonna make the 62, 0.62 a whole number. But I want you to call in right now and let me know what the common mistake is. All right, you call in. I'm going to do the problem correctly, but you call in the number 312-738-1060, and as I complete the problem properly, I want you to call in and tell me what the common mistake would be. All right, here we go. Let's take a look. All right, so that's not a whole number. I ask you to make it a whole number. Move it two decimal places. Now, whatever you do here, whatever you do over here, you're going to have to do over here. So let's move this two decimal places. And after you've done that, let's bring that decimal point straight up. All right, let's bring the decimal point straight up. All right, so now what we have is we have the number 62. That's no longer a 0.62, that's a 62. So how many times does 62 go into 3? That's how many times does 62 go into 3? I want you to be able to see that 62 cannot go into 3. Therefore, I am not going to put anything over the 3. Okay? And then you ask yourself, how many times does 62 go into 31? How many times does 62 go into 31? I want you to be able to see that 62 is too big to go into 31. So don't put anything over the 1. Okay? How many times does 62 go into 314? I think that goes in 5 times. So that's the division part. We're going through the steps. Division, multiplication, subtraction, bring down. So the division, 314 divided by 62 is 5. Now you're going to multiply 5 times 62. 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 6 is 30. Plus 1 is 31. All right, so that's the multiplication part. Now let's subtract. We subtract 314 minus 310 is 4. All right, so that's the subtraction. Let's bring down. We're going to bring down the imaginary 0 there. Only bring down one number. Only bring down one number. Don't just continue to bring down number after number. One of the things about math is there are specific rules that are not hard to understand, but once you learn them, just follow them, okay? We're not just bringing down number after number. All right, so look, some people might say, well, because 62 can't go into 40, I'll bring down another 0. Well, that's wrong. We've already brought down a 0. You only bring down one number at a time. So now we brought down, let's start with division again. 62 cannot go into 40, so let's put a 0 there. All right, and then after we divide, let's multiply again. You get 0, subtract, you get 40, and then you bring down another number. 62 goes into 400. That goes in, I believe, 6 times. All right, I believe 6 times. All right, so that's our final answer. 5 5.06. 5.06. That is our final answer. Okay, I want you to call in and let me know where my common mistake could have been. No one call in. I want more people to call in, but that's okay. The common mistake at this original problem, the common mistake, let me show you what the common mistake would have been. Let's say you have the problem 0.62, and that's 3.14 being divided by 0.62. The common mistake would be to bring that up right now, right away. That's the common mistake. I ask you to make this 0.62 a whole number first. That's what I ask you to do. And however many places you move the divisor, that's how many places you should move the decimal in the dividend. Another common mistake would have been to only move the decimal place 1. No, this divisor has to be a whole number. Moving the decimal 1 would not have made that divisor a whole number. I'm trying to hammer this subject so you don't have any more problems with math. We want you to dominate math. We want you to dominate math. And to do that, you have to ask questions in class. You have to study. You have to practice. You have to put forth your best effort. And by all means, never, ever quit. Let's look at another problem. All right, so here we go. Now, I want you to be able to see that this is 3.14 divided by 2, and this is 36.401 divided by 2.5. This is a division problem. This is a division problem. This same problem that I have here could have been written as 3.14 divided by 2.0, and this is the exact same problem. So only thing I'm trying to show you here is another way a problem can be written. It's another way a problem could be written. But in terms of approach, we're doing the exact same thing. All right, so let's write the dividend first. 36.401, and that's being divided by 2.5. Again, that is not a whole number. That is not a whole number. So what do we have to do? We have to make it a whole number. Let's move the decimal place over 1. We move that decimal place over 1. We got to move this decimal place over 1. All right. So now, as I told you before, first step is to bring the decimal straight up. All right. How many times this is now 25? How many times does 25 go into 3? I want to say something real quick. This is not difficult, but if our children are having a tough time with this, they might need to study their timetables. A lot of these things I'm doing instinctively. I'm saying to you, how many times does this go into this? How many times does this go into 4? How many times does 2 go into 9? How many times does 3 go into 12? If our students are struggling, or if you see your child using their fingers, they might not move them very much, but they're using their fingers. Okay, that means they're having issues with their timetables, and it's our job to drill them on their timetables. That's our job. Okay, so if our students are struggling with this, that might be the first thing that we want to do is make sure that we drill them on their timetables, which is a prerequisite to what we're doing now. We don't want to drill them on this until they fully understand their timetables. All right, let's continue on. All right, so 20, we moved the decimal place over 1. That forced us to move this decimal place over 1. So how many times does 25 go into 3? The answer is 0. 25 is too big to go into 3. How many times does 25 go into 36? 25 goes into 36 1 time. So that's the division. Remember I told you, division, multiplication, subtraction, bring down. Division, multiplication, subtraction, bring down. When you're starting out, you have to remember these rules until they become second nature. That's the point in practicing. We're going to do so many of these problems to become second nature, and we'll remember division, multiplication, subtraction, bring down. It'll be very, very simple, all right, if we practice. All right, so here we go. 36 goes into 25 go to 36 1 time. You multiply, you get 25. All right, so then after you multiply, you're going to subtract. You get 1, 1, and then you bring down to 4. How many times does 25 go into 114? I believe that goes in 4 times. Then after you divide, you have to multiply. 25 times 4 is 100. Okay, and after you multiply, I've asked you to subtract. And now you subtract, you get 14. After you subtract, I ask you to bring down one number. You bring down one number, you bring down a 0, and then you ask yourself, okay, after you bring down, we ask you to divide one more time. So how many times does 25 go into 140? 25 goes into 140 6 times. 25 goes in 140, 5 times, forgive me. And then you get 125, and let's just stop right there because